People often ask me, how do I deal with anxiety? And let's face it, anxiety can be very crippling. If I'm lying awake at night just worrying about what might happen tomorrow, then I'm producing all sorts of stress hormones in my body that turn into a special type of sugar that gives me energy. And I don't typically need energy to sleep. I need to be depleted of energy so that I can get to sleep. But the pillow just doesn't feel comfortable, or the covers are too hot and then too cold. And if I'm not sleeping properly, then the next day I'm going to be a little bit more frustrated, and it just exacerbates the problem. So if I'm worried about the exam that I have to take tomorrow, well, that's going to disrupt my performance. I'm not going to be able to do as well on that exam. Especially people of faith, if they, are anxious, they'll peel through the pages of the scriptures and it says, be anxious for nothing. And then they think, oh no, am I doing something wrong? And now they're worried about the fact that they're worrying. When anxiety becomes so crippling that it interferes with your daily functioning, if you can't work or if you can't manage your family properly, you might want to go and consult a medical professional. And if you are prescribed medication for a season, medication is often useful to be able to have clarity of mind, to develop the skills necessary to overcome this, to create new neural wiring, some reprogramming in your brain. Anxiety can be so crippling that we sometimes take medication, and medication is not the enemy. Medication can be useful for a season. But medication doesn't take away the anxiety in terms of reprogramming the brain, it just ameliorates the symptoms. So you will always have anxiety, and you'll always need to take the medication to appease that anxiety. But the good news is that neuroscience demonstrates that when you share a problem and you start talking about it and you get wise counsel, you can actually reprogram your mind and create new neural wiring, and ultimately, slowly but surely, with medical supervision, wean yourself off that medication. The truth, that is peeled, in page after page in ancient scripture is not just for people of faith. This truth is relevant for all people. It's a timeless, universal principle that says if you meditate on the things that are right and good and just, and instead of being anxious, be anxious for nothing, be thankful instead. Well, these principles are well established in neuroscience. So sometimes people think that faith and science are at opposite ends of the polar. You either adhere to one or the other, but in reality, neuroscience is continually validating what ancient scriptures have been talking about for thousands and thousands of years. And the reality is, look, we all get anxiety from time to time. And the question is, how do we deal with it? We need to ultimately be able to face our fears. But it's not enough just to be able to say, go face your fears or don't be anxious. We need to learn how to actually control and regulate our emotions, how to go for a walk or get some exercise so as to deplete some of that energy or burn up some of that sugar in our system, how to ultimately renew our mind and think more constructive thoughts. How do I actually stop these automatic negative thoughts, which are like little ants that crawl in my ear and into my brain, and how do I get them out? Well, I can. The good news is that I can go ahead and renew my mind. If I can be disciplined and lay hold every thought captive, and instead of focusing on the things that are anxiety provoking, meditate on the things that are good and right and pure and just. If I stop for a moment and count my blessings one by one and meditate on these things, well, neuroscience comes along and says, well, you can create a biological change. You'll be producing different hormones, different electrical activity in your brain, and new neurochemicals which give you a sense of peace. In fact, it's a peace that surpasses all understanding. However, it's not the place that we start. Let's make sure that we get the basic ABCs down right, get some good exercise, burn up some of that energy, go out and do some things that you enjoy, meditate on the things that are right and good and just, and then go ahead and face that fear.